He was bringing diamonds, bringing expensive gifts. So it was really quick and really easy to fall for him. I wasn't able to get him on the phone for a while, and it was very, very uncommon for him not to call me back. I just had this feeling.
Miami-Dade County Police and Fire, where is your emergency?
Somebody tried to kill me.
Upon entry, we have a adult male that's laying down in the hallway.
What's unique is that just 1 month prior at the exact same location, someone had been shot on the same premises.
She saw him do an action that she believed was him reaching for a gun.
If somebody enters inside your home and you're in fear of your life, you can use deadly force.
But to me, it was cold-blooded murder.
I was like, I have to do something. Can't let this go. I won't let it go. Okay? And I don't have an eye for now.
May 20th, 2008, in Miami, Florida. At 3:11 p.m., police dispatchers receive a frantic 911 call.
Miami-Dade County Police and Fire, where is your emergency?
Yes, it is. There's somebody who was trying to kill me. I'm on fire. I love this truth.
I need you to try to calm down so I can understand you.
There's somebody tried to kill me. I grabbed the gun and I shot at him. He was attacking me, and then I went to the street. He said, I went into the arm.
She's telling the operator repeatedly, hey, I just shot someone. I just ran outside.
What is your name?
My name is Carvalho.
The 911 operator did a good job of calming her, telling her things will be all right, and asking her not to panic.
Who is this person? Your brother, boyfriend? Who is this person?
This guy is my husband's friend.
Did he have any weapons?
I think
Are you with your friend right now?
No, I'm in the street. I'm hiding.
North Miami Police Department officers rush to this woman's home because from the 911 call, all they know at the time is, okay, this woman is distressed. She said that she just shot someone who had forced his way into her home.
When they arrive, police and EMTs find the front door open.
We don't know yet if the person that was shot is deceased, if they're still in the house. We don't know what's going on.
Upon entry, we have a adult male that's laying down in the hallway. He appears to have multiple gunshot wounds, lifeless, not breathing, and possibly without a pulse. First thing you're gonna do is try to stop any kind of bleeding, any life-threatening injuries. And obviously, multiple gunshot wounds, it's gonna be difficult.
Officers find no one else in the home. Paramedics discover the victim's injuries are too severe to survive.
Unfortunately, he succumbed to his injuries. After further investigation, investigators checked and found a wallet and ID in his pocket.
Upon going into his wallet, they discovered that this man was 27-year-old Elon Neeson.
In the 911 call, Janepsi told the operator that this was someone her husband knew. You have a dead man and you know who killed him. Janepsi Carballo called 911 and said she shot him. The question is why? Why did she shoot him?
Alon Lodi Nissim was born on August 6, 1980, the youngest of 6 children.
His family is originally from Israel. A lot of his siblings were born here, but his family is from Israel. His dad was really into the culture.
He kept his religion and kept his culture, but he loved Miami. Therefore, he hung out with different people and he kept a diverse group of friends.
As a young man, Elon had dreams to chart his own path and make his fortune. But some of the people Elon made contact with landed him in trouble.
He had some early run-ins with the law, but after graduating high school, he really got into real estate. He had mentors around him and people that taught him about mortgages, about financing, buying property, rehabbing property.
He was very detailed and very driven. He took notes, very detailed notes. He built several successful houses, and his goal was to start building commercial buildings in the Miami area.
In the early 2000s, Elon met Nikita Bennett at a local hangout.
I met him at a spot called The Tree. I think it was mainly for like older people who used to hang out in Miami area, but a lot of younger people used to ride through and hang out there as well. So we kind of got numbers that night and we started talking like the next day.
Nikita was drawn in by Elon's energy.
I love that he was so focused on getting things done. I love that he was a go-getter and he was just driven about making things happen.
Elon brought that same intensity to wooing Nikita.
In the first 6 months, he was bringing diamonds, bringing expensive gifts, and just things I just never had experienced before. He brought flowers. We went on dates. He was romantic. So it was really quick and really easy to fall for him.
By early 2006, the couple was expecting a child.
He definitely wanted to be a father. I felt like it's something he always wanted. Getting ready for the baby was it was everything. He did a lot of shopping for the baby, going into the stores. He was really excited. He couldn't wait to be her father.
Like many fathers, you have a larger sense of responsibility. So he started shopping prior to the baby being born, buying nice things for the baby, making sure his girlfriend Nikita was taken care of and had everything she needed. In October of 2006, Nikita gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. Elon was very excited. This was his first child, and he always wanted to be a father.
Elon and Nikita connected with other young parents, including Orlando Mesa and Genepsi Carballo.
They had a young child about the same age as our child. Actually, they were the same age. They had a son, we had a daughter. So we kind of bonded a little bit.
Genepsi and Orlando were both immigrants from Cuba. They both came to Miami and settled. They were known for being very driven, very work-oriented.
Like Elon, Orlando rose from humble beginnings to become a successful businessman.
Orlando had 2 successful food trucks, and because of his success with the food truck industry, he wanted to branch out and build on that success. So he met Elon, and Elon was introducing him to the real estate industry. They liked each other, they got along, so they decided to work together.
In early 2008, the future looked bright for the 2 entrepreneurs and their families.
We had plans of going on his boat and doing some things as couples, just getting to know their family a little bit. I thought they were really nice.
Life was good for Elon. He was living the American dream. He had a daughter, he had his girlfriend, and he was living well.
But on the afternoon of May 20th, 2008, Elon lies dead in a North Miami home from multiple gunshot wounds. 31-year-old Genepsi Carballo called 911, claiming she shot Elon after a confrontation in her home.
Genepsi Carballo had called and told them that there was an intruder, that there was a struggle, he tried to attack her, and that she shot him.
The officers find Genepsi at the neighbor's house. They take her on down to the station so she can make a statement.
Detectives with the North Miami PD arrive on the scene.
They get there and they immediately know that they've been to this house before, just a few weeks ago.
What's unique about all of this is that just 1 month prior at the exact same location, someone had been shot on the same premises.
Genepsi's husband, Orlando Mesa, was shot and killed in front of his home. That case is still unsolved, and presumably the killer is still on the loose. So that's 2 men who have been killed at this home within 30 days.
Nepsi Carballo, where 27-year-old Elon Neeson lies dead from multiple gunshot wounds.
Upon checking the scene, the investigators found a black .38 revolver in the driveway, and it seemed like this was probably the weapon that was used on the victim.
It appears that Genepsi dropped the gun as she was running from the scene to her neighbor's house, so they collected and take it into evidence.
Detectives step inside.
There was no indication that there was a break-in. The door was left open because she had fled the house after the shooting.
When they walk in, it looks like things are being packed up for a move. There are boxes everywhere, duffel bags and things like that. Elon is lying on his stomach in the hallway. One arm slightly bent up towards his head, and his legs are bent. He's wearing blue jeans, a white shirt, and sneakers.
However, they didn't find a gun on his person. They didn't find him to be armed. The medical examiner took pictures of the scene to document what was going on. Any blood spatter, any ingress and egress of bullet wounds.
She finds he has been shot approximately 5 times. So of course they wanted to know why she shot him so many times.
Investigators head back to the police department so they can put that question to Genepsi.
Genepsi is at the station, but she's been here before. Just over a month ago, her husband Orlando was shot and killed in front of their home.
April 20th, 2008, Orlando Mesa and his 18-month-old son Noah were walking, and a vehicle pulled up. 2 individuals got out of the car and proceeded to shoot at both him and his son.
The child was shot in the leg and the arm. Although the wounds weren't fatal,
the indications were that his son was grazed, and the only reason that he didn't get a full shot was his father was basically protecting him.
Genepsi was inside when all this happened. At this point, that case is still open and unsolved.
Genepsi says she had spent the time since packing up for an impending move.
Following her husband's death, she had plans to sell the house and move. But now she was living there, packing up the place.
At this time, Genepsi was living alone, where her husband just got shot, and she was still living in that house. So of course, she was on edge.
Around 3 p.m. on May 20th, she was taken by surprise.
She tells them that she was inside the house, and she turns, and Elon is inside the house also. How he got in there, it was unknown to her.
Just as she had said in her 911 call, she says Elon Neeson was a friend and business associate of her husband, Orlando. She immediately realized that this was not a friendly visit.
She insisted that Elon forced his way into her home and questioned her aggressively about what her deceased husband's business endeavors were, where his warehouse was, how to get into said warehouse, and so forth.
She denies any knowledge of it. He became angry with her, and she said at some point he grabs her shirt and rips her blouse. At that point, she becomes in fear of her life.
She says that the next thing he does is that he reaches for his waistband.
She saw him do an action that she believed was him reaching for a gun.
Typically, when you're under attack or you feel that you're in danger, there's 3 major ways you could go. You could fight the person. Flight, meaning you could get away, or you freeze up. In this case, Genepsi chose to fight.
Genepsi tells police she turned and ran toward the living room, where she kept a gun.
She's able to secure a firearm, and in self-defense, shoots him multiple times.
an action that the detectives know is within her rights as a Florida homeowner.
If somebody enters inside your home and you're in fear of your life, they have what they call the stand the ground law, which means you can use deadly force if necessary.
In the state of Florida, there's normally a presumption that because your home is sort of your castle, you can defend that by all means necessary.
Now that they have her version of what happened, they want to know why. Why did Elon come into her home? And what was the source of his anger?
She tells them that she thinks Elon was coming after her because she wanted to see him behind bars.
She told them that she really, in her gut, felt like Elon was involved in her husband's murder.
She was very vocal about who she thought was the killer of her husband, and that person was Elon Newsom.
I started to call him. I wasn't able to get him on the phone for a while, and it was very, very uncommon for him not to call me back or to answer the phone. I remember my friends being like, oh, he probably just making jokes. Like, he probably at the strip club, or he probably doing these things that they knew he probably never would do, just making jokes. But I just had this feeling. I want to say maybe 11 o'clock, 11:30. Elon's mother called my mother to let her know that the police had come to her house and said that he was dead. Right before midnight on May 20th, 2008. I'll never forget that day. But that's how I found out. Yeah, my life was changed. Instantly.
After shooting Elon Newsom when he allegedly threatened her inside her home, Genepsy Carballo tells detectives she suspects Elon was responsible for her husband's death 1 month before.
She believed he was behind Orlando's death, and when she saw him in her home, she was terrified.
Following the interview with Genepsy, investigators revisit Orlando's case file.
On April 20th, 2008, police officers got a flurry of calls insisting that a man and a 17-month-old baby had both been shot.
When police arrived, they found Orlando, the couple's son, and Genepsy, who had been inside the home when the shooting took place.
She heard the gunshots. She heard a pause, then she heard the gunshots resume. And when she came out, she found her husband, Orlando Mesa, shot. And she was looking for her son. Luckily, a neighbor had grabbed him.
The young child was wounded, but stable. Orlando was in a more serious condition.
Genepsy had to make a choice whether she would stay there with her dying husband or get in the ambulance with her son. Genepsy ultimately made the choice to ride in the ambulance with her son as Orlando lay on the ground dying.
Orlando Mesa was pronounced dead at the scene, and North Miami police began searching for his killers.
So because this all happened in the middle of the day, there were a ton of witness reports. A man and a little boy were just moving along when a sedan pulled up and 2 men hopped out of the sedan and ultimately shot Orlando and his little son.
The interesting thing about Orlando's murder is the nature of the murder. It seemed to be a hit, an execution.
They had no worries about a child being involved. Their mission was to shoot him and make sure he was dead. And if the child was hit, that was just collateral damage that happened.
A neighborhood security camera captured the suspects and the getaway vehicle on video.
There was a surveillance video that captured these individuals coming up in a vehicle, getting out of the vehicle, firing shots, and then leaving very quickly. But the quality of the resolution of the video was not good enough to make an identification of who those people were.
Police issued a be on the lookout based on witness descriptions at the scene, as well as surveillance footage that captured the shooting.
Because the killing appeared to be targeted, the initial investigation focused on Orlando's potential enemies.
So we're looking into the background of Mr. Mesa a little bit more deeper. Was he involved in drugs? Did he have any enemies?
From the outside looking in, one would see Orlando as a hard worker with legitimate jobs.
Detectives investigating had spoken to Ms. Carballo about who could have been responsible for it. Did her husband have any enemies? Were there any business deals that had gone awry?
Even then, Genepsi voiced concerns over Elon's possible involvement.
She told detectives that her husband, Orlando Mesa, had given Elon $180,000 to do a real estate deal. And Elon said that that money was stolen from him in a robbery. He lost $180,000.
If Orlando was gone, he wouldn't have to repay the $180,000.
But when police tried to verify Genepsi's story, they hit a dead end.
There were no bank statements, no text messages, no real evidence to correlate her story about the $180,000.
In fact, just before Elon was shot, Genepsi was poised to try and help police prove his involvement.
One of the North Miami detectives told Genepsi that she should keep contact with Elon. They wanted her to wear a wire.
Genepsi agrees to wear a wire as per the investigators when talking to Elon so that she could get more information. She never actually wore the wire though.
2 days after she had agreed to wear the wire, as requested of her by detectives, is when Elon was found dead in the Carballo home.
On the night of Elon Neesom's death, his admitted shooter, Genepsi Carballo, was questioned by police and released.
Based on her statement to the police of self-defense and with the stand your ground law in the state of Florida, she was not charged.
She's saying that Elon came after her after he killed her husband. Police have no proof that Elon killed Orlando, but they also can't say that it is not true.
Investigators follow up on Genepsi's claims that Elon was involved in her husband's shooting. They speak with his fiancée and mother of his child, Nikita Bennett.
When they came to my parents' house, it was never really about Elon. It was more so about Orlando's case. And that was like, his wife just killed my boyfriend, and you want me to help y'all solve his murder? It wasn't making sense.
Nikita tells them there is no way Elon was involved.
Elon and Orlando were close. As far as Nikita was concerned, there was no animosity between the two.
He was helping her, get things situated after her husband had passed, and he had paid for some plumbing to get done in the house. He had was trying to help her sell the motorcycle or the boat, and it was always something that she needed help with, and he would always do it.
Nikita also doesn't believe Genepsi's claim that Elon assaulted her.
He wasn't that kind of person. He was not going to harm a woman, so that did not sound right at all. I knew something was not right.
That same day, one of Elon's business associates reaches out to police. He said he had been with Elon just before the shooting.
Elon, he had been at the office of one of his mentors in the real estate business, and that mentor said that while he was there in his office, he received a call.
At 1:40 p.m., Elon received a call from Genepsi asking him to bring some items to the house.
The mentor says that he, his wife, and his secretary all overheard the phone call.
He said that Elon had put that call on speaker, and he was able to hear Genepsi tell Elon that he needed to bring some items to the house, which he said he was going to do.
So according to the mentor, Genepsi was aware that Elon was coming over, and that was because she called him over herself. And there were two witnesses that could corroborate that Elon was asked by Genepsi to come over to the house.
They saw the news, and on the news, they were saying that Elon was an intruder. They said, no, that's not right.
According to these witnesses, she knew Elon was coming through. Why would she lie about that?
That same day, investigators also get the results of Elon's autopsy.
They're trying to match everything up with the type of ammo that was used and try to just piece everything together and try to paint a picture, so to speak, of what happened.
She's indicating that Elon confronted her in the hallway just as he entered inside the house. During the conversation, he grabs her. She's moving towards the living room and gets a firearm.
According to Ms. Carballo, he was coming towards her and she shot him 5 times. However, the medical examiner determined that most of the shots were into Elon's back.
In this case, he was shot on the right side of his upper back, his midline, so he was actually turned. Now, when you're turning to running, then the bullet would go from right to left. In this case, he was fully turned, so the bullet is going straight back.
In addition to the 3 bullets in the back, Elon was shot twice in the buttocks. One of those bullets remained lodged in his body.
What that means is there's a good possibility that she shot him in the butt when he was on the ground. It looks like he was down and she continued to shoot him. So there's a difference between her story and what the physical evidence of where he was shot indicates happened.
While Genepsi's story appears to be falling apart, investigators cannot prove the killing was intentional under Florida law.
As long as you stand in that spot and an attacker pursues you and you harm that attacker, you're covered. In some cases, people actually pursued the individual and they got off using the stand your ground law.
Months pass. Then a year. Then 2.
Those 2 years where, no one was convicted of his murder or even charged for his murder were very trying for me.
For Genepsi Carballo, life goes on.
Despite all of the stressors that were going on at the time, Genepsi was very resilient business-wise. She actually moved on to open up a pain clinic in Broward County, Florida.
It was the hot thing, what some in law enforcement call pill mills, where they dispense pain management pills to people that were likely addicts and not suffering from any ailments where they needed those medications.
In 2010, Genepsi once again gets the attention of law enforcement.
There were complaints that she was actually conducting these pain management clinics in an illegal way, and the DEA wanted to know what was going on. Florida is a stand your ground state, and you're authorized to use deadly force if you believe that you're in danger of serious injury or death, if you are not the aggressor. And deadly force doesn't stop at 1 shot or 2. It's until you think the threat is no longer there. So if you are not the aggressor, as Genepsi claimed to the police, if she shot him 5 times, that was what she believed was necessary to neutralize the threat. That would be reasonable. Understand your ground. If in fact he came into her home and attacked her. She used her firearm that she had in her home to defend herself and shot him 5 times. That could be reasonable under Florida Stand Your Ground law.
Over 2 years after she shot and killed Elon Neeson, Genepsy Carballo's new business venture draws attention from the Drug Enforcement Agency.
Because of her involvement in these various pill mills, as the DEA would refer to them, they wanted to take a closer look at Ms. Carballo and what she was doing.
The only way they could do it is put somebody on the inside to find out how they were operating this facility.
Undercover DEA agent John Frisky applies for work in Genepsy's pain clinic as an information technology specialist.
I was going into her pill mill to check for illegalities and found quite a few. She was giving away too much medicine, way out of what DEA called the tolerances. I wore a camera and a video device so that I could record all the sounds that were said.
Agent Frisky developed a friendly rapport with his boss.
We got along good. She was very personable, but she totally trusted me.
One day, Genepsy opens up about her husband's murder and who she believes is responsible.
She said that Liam had came to their driveway and shot her husband and her son several times. Her husband passed away there on the sidewalk.
Genepsy told him she considered wearing the wire and working with police, but changed her mind.
You'll be out with a good attorney in no time. I'm not going to do it. And I knew that it was going to be hard to catch him. I was like, I have to do something. Can't let this go. I won't let it go. Okay? And as long as I want an eye for an eye, I want his daughter to grow up without a father just like myself.
Genepsy then told him about how she was able to lure her business partner of her husband, Elam, to her house, bring him in, where she was able to shoot him and make it look like a self-defense, because she felt that this was payback for what happened to her husband.
I knew what was going to happen, and, you know, I was shaking inside, but outside I was calm. Yeah, think about it a little bit. And it said, oh, 1, 2, yeah, keep going. Keep going forward. Keep to the
She told me she shot him and put it into his life. She said his daughter was going to grow up without a father like her son. I went to the bathroom and called the office, told them that she just confessed to murder, and they told me, get the heck out of there.
And Genepsy had no idea that she had just confessed to an undercover DEA agent and her empire was on the verge of collapsing.
In May 2010, the DEA alerts the North Miami Police Department about Genepsy's confession.
And they said, here you go, here's a tape confession, her on video confessing basically to murdering Elon Neeson.
They look at the tape, they look at some of the other evidence, some of the inconsistencies between what Ms. Carballo said and what the evidence had shown. And at this point, they're convinced that she is guilty of murder.
In December 2010, over 2 years after Elon's death, Genepsi Carballo is arrested.
Genepsi is arrested, and she's charged with first-degree murder. And in the state of Florida, that could mean the death penalty for Genepsi. Immediately, Genepsi's attorneys file a motion for this charge to be thrown out. According to them, this murder, Elon's murder, was 100% justifiable because of Florida's stand your ground law.
The judge that oversaw that hearing, Judge Beth Bloom, did not agree with the defense, and her stand your ground motion was denied. She was not given the immunity that stand your ground affords people in Florida. Her case went to trial.
On November 12, 2014, over 6 years after Elon Neesom was fatally shot, Genepsi finally faces a judge and jury.
Everybody in Miami is watching this case and have no idea what's about to unfold.
In November 2014, Genepsi Carballo is on trial for the shooting death of Elon Neesom.
I didn't miss a court date. I don't care if I had to be at work. I was going to be there because it was important for me. It's important for him. It's important to my daughter that she saw that I was there for her dad.
In contrast to her statements to an undercover DEA agent, Genepsi Carballo repeats her original story that she shot the victim in self-defense.
What the defense argued was that the court should not look at or believe what she told the DEA agent Frisky. They should listen to how frantic she was on that 911 call.
Here's your emergency.
Yes, I'm in the house to talk to police. I'm on fire. I'm on the street.
They put up the defense and argued that she was just trying to sound tough when she was talking to the DEA informant, that the things she said there were really not what happened. What really happened was what she had told police before, what she had told investigators time and time again, what she told the operator on the 911 call.
The prosecution focuses on the testimony of Elon's mentor, who overheard a phone call between Genepsi and Elon shortly before Elon was killed.
They said that she brought him over there. She didn't tell the 911 operator about that.
She lured him to the house because she wanted to kill him. He was trying to help her honor his friend who had been killed, so he said yes.
The star witness in the case is DEA agent John Frisky.
I was called in to testify, introduced the tape, recording and the video that I made.
Camera says off. I won't let it go. Okay? And that's why I want an eye for an eye. I want his daughter to grow up without a father just like myself.
To hear the confession, it showed her to be a premeditated, murderous person, hell-bent on revenge, and would get it no matter what.
As a final touch, prosecutors present the autopsy report.
The forensic evidence said Elon was shot in his back. The positioning of his body and the positioning of the entry and exit wounds were consistent with the confession that she later made, that she killed him as an act of revenge.
He started to run, and she shot him 5 times in the back. To me, it was cold-blooded murder.
The jury agrees.
Genepsi is found guilty of first-degree murder. So ultimately, her son is now going to live without a mother and father because she's serving the rest of her life in prison.
I felt a lot of anger towards her, and not because of the murder, not because of what she had done to Elon, but because of what she had done to her child. I had witnessed her and her baby talking outside in the hallway of the courtroom, And I knew it was her last interaction as a free woman with her child, and they had to be like 7 years old at the time. My daughter was the same age, and I remember just looking at her. That was difficult for me to watch. And I didn't feel any gratitude after the case was over either, because like nobody won. Nobody won.
Both of these children lost their father. Orlando's son lost his father and his mother. His mother's taken away from serving time in prison now.
I wish he had not made that decision to do that to Elon, because you could have been here raising your son. You know, my kids don't deserve that.
Genepsi should have just left things the way it was, let the law do what they got to do, and over time, hopefully things would have got settled, but unfortunately, we may never know the full truth of what happened.
Orlando's murder remains unsolved. There's never been any proof that Elon was involved.
Elon, I want him to be remembered for his giving spirit. He was someone who just wanted to help people. Despite of what anybody may know about him, remember me, he was a giver. He was a loving person. He was a family man. He took care of his family, and I want people to understand and know that about him.
She'd been a fighter all her life.
She had a learning disability and a chronic illness.
She lost her husband.
She had children removed from her home.
I just don't know how she was able to handle it.
But just when it appeared her life was back on track, it came to a violent end.
She had stab wounds all over her body.
There was blood everywhere. That has to be scary.
I don't know what motives someone would have.
The answer will make her tragic death even more senseless.
Is she pregnant?
Everyone loses in this situation.
Life is over.
This was something that should have never happened.
Please! Please!
July 28th, 2018. It's early Saturday morning in Kansas City, Missouri, the Show Me State's largest city.
It's really thriving downtown, so it's a fun place to live. It's a fun place to work.
It's a great place to raise your family.
Kansas City is known for being a good Midwest city. It's in the middle of the map. It's the heartland.
But even the heartland of America has its fair share of crime.
We have, unfortunately, a large number of homicides within the city.
And in the pre-dawn hours that morning, the grim tally goes up again.
Somebody, no! What happened? What happened?
911 received a frantic call from a woman.
Somebody, please hurry!
A young woman was found in the yard of her grandmother's house.
When police respond, they find a grieving family gathered outside the house.
There was a young woman laid out on the grass, and she was covered in blood.
Guys, go ahead and step back for a minute. Let my partner work on her, okay?
Do you know her? This is your niece?
I can only imagine the fear, the trauma that immediately set in when you see your loved one laid down on the ground.
What happened and how long she'd been there isn't clear.
A family member had found her lying motionless in the yard, moments before the 911 call came in.
Andrew. Came in there and said he found her out in the front yard.
She had stab wounds all over her body, from her head to her neck, her chest, her stomach, her arms.
Ear suction in the chest.
But when the EMTs check for vital signs, it's clear the victim is already gone.
Unfortunately, as much as they tried, there was nothing that they could do.
What happened? What happened? We don't know. We don't know.
All anyone knows for sure is the identity of the victim.
What's her name? Andrea Vine.
Life had been a series of challenges for 27-year-old DeAndrea Vine.
DeAndrea had some struggles that she had to deal with.
From childhood, DeAndrea had suffered from epilepsy and associated learning disabilities.
Having a learning disability and a chronic illness like epilepsy can be damaging to self-esteem.
Epilepsy or with any type of cognitive delays can make it very hard to function in a school setting.
She was in special education classes.
She did not let that stop her. She was a very determined soul.
But there was one part of her life where DeAndrea didn't struggle.
DeAndrea was quite popular in school. She had a lot of friends, got a lot of attention.
And soon after high school, she attracted a different kind of attention.
At 18, DeAndrea met a man who she developed a long-term relationship with.
His name was Marcus Williams.
How you doing?
When you're young, you're excited to know that you have someone that likes you.
You have a young lady dealing with the difficulties of feeling different, and now you have a young man expressing interest in her.
DeAndrea felt like when Marcus is different, it gives me hope. It reminds me that I'm safe and everything is better.
Over the next few years, what started as a teenage crush turned into a family.
They had 4 children together, and they were happy and making things work.
She was loving her kids, and he helped with the kids as well.
She was always trying to do the right thing and always trying to be a good mother.
But love couldn't overcome all the problems DeAndrea faced.
With motherhood, you don't always get it right. It's very, very challenging.
Eventually, DeAndrea's children were taken into foster care by the state.
A doctor alerted Child Protective Services because he suspected Marcus may have physically abused one of the children.
DeAndrea couldn't believe it.
They made her mad and frustrated.
DeAndrea was adamant that Marcus would never hurt her children.
They didn't even determine he actually did it. So they just had him go to anger management classes.
Getting their kids back would be an even greater ordeal.
And having to have this interaction with children's services, I would imagine that posed as a difficult time for her.
For any mother, losing your children is not easy. It's not something that you've ever planned for.
Worse was to come.
In 2017, worn down by the custody struggles and his battle over the abuse allegations, Marcus committed suicide.
I can only imagine how DeAndrea felt now that she doesn't have her children living with her and the love of her life has taken his own life.
But she wasn't alone.
She had a very strong family support group who were very lovely individuals.
With her family's tireless support, DeAndrea managed to get her children out of foster care.
We had to go through a lot of, allegations and everything to get them back.
And she wasn't going to let anything stop her from rebuilding her family.
DeAndrea took a job at Walmart, which was very difficult for her with the epilepsy, but she was determined to get things back on track and to provide for her family.
She's a fighter. It takes a strong woman to be able to have these learning disabilities, health issues, be able to get up and go to work every day, to provide for yourself and show the courts that you are capable of being able to take care of your children.
But now, a year after Marcus's suicide, DeAndrea's family has called 911 after finding her bloody body in the yard outside her grandmother's house.
She was lying on the ground, wrapped in a blanket, bleeding from multiple stab wounds.
But when EMTs remove the blanket, they uncover a possible motive for the crime.
They discovered that DeAndrea's underwear was missing.
This could have been a sexual assault.
A year after the father of her 4 children committed suicide, 27-year-old DeAndrea Vine was rebuilding her life.
With help from her mother and grandmother, DeAndrea was able to get her children out of foster care and back with her family.
She went and obtained a job at Walmart, which, given her epilepsy, could present as a difficult thing to do. But she took the challenge head on.
She continued to move forward with her life after all the tragedy that she had experienced.
But now DeAndrea's children have suffered another tragic loss.
Early that morning, DeAndrea's cousin found her bloody body lying in the grass in front of her grandmother's house.
Hey guys, go ahead and step back for a minute. Let my partner work on her, okay?
She was stabbed multiple times all over her body. Her face, her neck, her chest, her stomach, her arms.
And that may not have been the only horror she suffered.
DeAndrea was found with no pants and no underwear on, which led them to believe that she was sexually assaulted.
While it will take an autopsy to determine if that's the case, detectives arrive and are able to determine where the deadly attack began.
There was a trail of blood leading from the front yard all the way to a white van that was parked outside of the house.
There was a large amount of blood on the driveway just outside of the passenger side.
When detectives checked inside the minivan, they found that it was covered in blood.
They also find her cell phone in the van, and there's a receipt on the floorboard.
The receipt contains what appears to be an important clue.
Oh, we got a shoe print.
On this receipt was a blood-stamped shoe print. It was a big clue for detectives because she wasn't wearing shoes.
And it wasn't just any shoe print either.
It was the Vans brand of shoe, which has a very distinct print on the bottom.
Looking to narrow things down even further, detectives turn to DeAndrea's family.
Ms. Vine lived with her children and some of her other family members in the home where this occurred.
So sorry about your loss this evening. Why don't you tell me what happened?
Most of the family members at the scene were either too young or too distraught to interview.
However, DeAndrea's uncle does have some useful information for detectives.
Her uncle arrived home around 1 a.m. and he actually seen DeAndrea outside talking to a younger male.
She was sitting right here, the shed, with some little boy or something, with her backpack on. I remember that.
Okay. But he said when he parked the car and walked up to the house, this man was gone. He disappeared already.
He told them he never really got a good look at him.
All he can say for sure is that he was young and wearing a backpack.
When you say young, are we talking like young or like?
I didn't know. I'm talking about young, like
18? Teenage.
DeAndrea's uncle says he assumed the young man was a friend of his niece's.
Hey, how you doing, Nathan?
Hey,
He did speak with DeAndrea and everything seemed fine.
You okay?
Yeah.
Everything all right? Okay.
He didn't think anything of it, nothing suspicious, and he went inside to go to sleep.
Until 3 hours later, when DeAndrea's cousin burst into their grandmother's house.
My brother's kid, he came in at 4 o'clock that morning, and he said he seen her out there, blood everywhere.
However, when the detectives asked who might have wanted to harm DeAndrea, her family members had no idea.
Is there anyone that you can think of that she's having any arguments or beef with right now? No?
All right.
Thank you guys for the cooperation.
After talking to the family, the detectives fan out across the neighborhood, looking for possible witnesses.
They go door to door on a mission to find out what happens to DeAndrea.
One neighbor does describe something unusual.
There was a woman across the street that happened to see a man driving, and he stopped and asked her, "Hey, did you order an Uber?"
Hey, excuse me. Did you order an Uber?
No, I didn't.
She explained to the Uber driver that she hadn't requested a ride, and he drove off.
Okay, do you know what time that was?
That was at 1:48.
Then, as she was heading inside, she heard a commotion across the street.
They're arguing and fighting. It sounded kind of serious. So I was like, okay, well, let me listen a little bit just because I'm nosy too. I'm listening, and I hear a girl, she sounded like she was saying, okay, I'm sorry, stop, I won't do it again. So that's when I was like, are you okay?
Hey, is everything okay over there?
She had actually called out to see if somebody needed help, and then she didn't hear anything else.
But she says she never saw DeAndrea lying in the grass, covered in blood.
There were several cars parked on the street in front of the residence, which was obscuring her view of the body.
But the neighbor says she did see someone.
A gentleman walked to the side of the van, and he got like a bag or something out of the van.
What kind of bag? Like a backpack or a...
I know it wasn't like a Walmart bag or a trash bag, but it was a bag.
She didn't have a lot of details that she could give detectives about who the person was.
As far as like making out his facial features and stuff, I didn't really get a very good look at him.
Okay.
I could tell he was black.
Did you see maybe how old he looked?
No older than 25.
Detectives suspect this was the same person DeAndrea had been talking to earlier that night.
Her uncle had already told detectives that the person she had been speaking with was wearing a backpack and appeared to be pretty young.
But it's not until DeAndrea's sister arrives at the scene that they get their first clue to his identity.
She was telling me about this guy she worked with.
There was this guy at Walmart that was flirting with DeAndrea.
In fact, DeAndrea's sister thought that they had done more than just flirt.
Do you know his name?
No, I just know he was really young.
After family members found DeAndrea Vine stabbed to death in her grandmother's front yard, her sister has given detectives a clue to the identity of the man she was seen with earlier that evening.
DeAndrea's sister informs them that DeAndrea may have been talking or messing around with a young person at work.
That gave detectives something to work with as far as who this individual she was speaking to might be.
Do you know his name?
No, I just know he was really young.
So were they like dating or just kind of flirting at work?
Maybe just messing around?
I'm not really sure what they were doing.
Her sister didn't know much about the dynamic of the relationship.
But she does know that DeAndrea enjoyed the attention.
I would imagine it would be very difficult being a single mother raising 4 children, maybe not much time for dating. And so it would feel great to have someone show interest.
Aren't you supposed to be in the stockroom?
Yeah, but, I just came to say hi.
It probably just made her feel like the most special woman in this world.
However, according to her sister, there was one big drawback to DeAndrea's new suitor.
Her sister stated that he was only 17.
So there's a chance it was just flirting?
I just know she had a problem with it.
He's not 18 yet, and she is 27. There could be legal repercussions.
If DeAndrea had rejected the teenager, could that have led to a deadly attack?
The police suspected that she'd been sexually assaulted, so there was a possible scenario where the coworker had forced himself on DeAndrea, and the violence escalated when she fought back.
There were a large number of stab wounds, which is usually indicative of someone who knows their attacker. There's usually some sort of a relationship to garner that much rage.
The morning after DeAndrea's murder, the detectives attempt to track down her would-be boyfriend.
Detectives head to Walmart to find out who this 17-year-old is.
While talking to DeAndrea's manager, they learn that the young man is most likely 17-year-old Xavier McDowell.
The manager tells them that he actually sees DeAndrea and Xavier a lot in the break room.
And according to the manager, they weren't just hanging out.
The supervisor said that they had to break them up from making out in the break room.
He would have to tell them, hey, you guys have to stop and go back to work.
Their behavior was inappropriate, but there were no indications of any sort of harassment going on.
It was just that she was engaged in sort of a workplace romance with this young man.
I'll give you his address.
With the relationship between Xavier and DeAndrea confirmed, investigators head to his parents' house to question him.
We're looking for Xavier McDowell. We just need to ask him a few questions about one of his co-workers.
Xavier?
Yes, sir.
We need to ask you a few questions about DeAndrea Vine.
Sure. I heard about what happened, but I just can't believe it.
When they talked to Xavier, he seemed very sad, very affected by the news that she had passed away.
She was such a nice person.
During the interview, Xavier is upfront about his relationship with DeAndrea.
He did indicate that they had a sexual relationship, but there wasn't much other than that sexual relationship between the two of them.
So no plans for the future?
Nothing like that. We was just having fun, you know.
He called it a lust relationship. He said they had only been together 2 times.
They met up at a hotel.
Why a hotel?
She lived with her people, and we couldn't meet here. So.
Xavier lived with his mom, so his place was out too.
He informed detectives that the last time they had sex was about a month ago.
When was the last time you saw her?
It was yesterday at work.
He told detectives they had been on the same shift at Walmart the night before.
They didn't talk because things were so busy at work.
He was only able to wave hello to her.
What time did you get home from work?
10. My brother had picked me up.
Xavier told investigators that his brother had picked him up for work and that he had stayed in for the rest of the night.
And Mom, you can confirm that he was here all night?
No, I can't. I worked the graveyard shift and I didn't get in until 5 a.m. this morning.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Was it possible he'd slipped out later that evening and went to see DeAndrea?
Detectives were aware that Xavier didn't drive, and he lived about 3 miles away from DeAndrea.
Detectives doubt that he walked.
However, one of DeAndrea's neighbors did tell detectives there was an Uber in the area around the time of the murder.
They needed to track down this Uber driver.
Detectives also need to see who DeAndrea had been in contact with on the night of her murder.
Detectives subpoena records for DeAndrea's cell phone.
Whether DeAndrea met up with Xavier or someone else that night, her phone records may show who she had talked to on the phone or exchanged text messages with before they got together.
But detectives are still working those leads when they're contacted by another of DeAndrea's co-workers.
Homicide.
The woman called police and told them that she had some potentially important information.
I don't know if it has anything to do with what happened, but she told me something.
Ms. Vine had communicated that she may be pregnant.
Detectives investigating the brutal murder of DeAndrea Vine have learned that the 27-year-old may have been expecting her 5th child.
According to a co-worker, DeAndrea had told her that she was pregnant.
The news takes detectives by surprise.
None of DeAndrea's family had said anything about her being pregnant.
Is she pregnant? You don't think so? Okay, I just want to make sure.
Of course, DeAndrea may have had her reasons for wanting to keep the pregnancy quiet.
Did she say who the father was?
No.
Detectives suspect the answer may be DeAndrea's 17-year-old co-worker, Xavier McDowell.
Xavier admitted that DeAndre and him had been intimate with each other on 2 separate occasions.
So she didn't say it was Xavier's?
No. I kind of just assumed it was.
Associates from her workplace knew that she was involved in a romantic relationship with Xavier.
If he's the father, does that also mean that he's her killer?
He was only 17, so he might not have been happy about becoming a father.
Did DeAndrea ever talk about possibly ending the pregnancy?
No, but that wouldn't be like her either.
She was a mother of 4 who adored her children.
Detectives also have to consider the possibility that the baby wasn't Xavier's.
If DeAndrea had been hooking up with someone else, jealousy could come into play.
Maybe she was the victim of a love triangle.
Did DeAndrea ever talk about possibly seeing someone else?
As far as I know, it was only Xavier.
Love triangle or not, When detectives received DeAndrea's autopsy report, it's clear whoever killed her was enraged.
When investigators got the autopsy results from the medical examiner's office, the first thing that stood out was the sheer violence of the attack.
It was well over 30 stab wounds.
And that's only a fraction of the injuries cataloged by the medical examiner.
A stab wound is something that actually penetrates into the body, and then there's incise wounds, which are more of a superficial cut, and she had dozens of both on her body.
She also had defensive wounds to her hands and arms.
DeAndrea fought desperately with her attacker.
These type of stabbing cases, there's a lot of rage involved and just a lot of severe injury, which unfortunately make the victim's demise just so much more brutal.
And there is one more thing that the autopsy makes crystal clear.
She was not, in fact, pregnant.
It's potentially a bombshell piece of information.
Was DeAndrea simply mistaken when she told her coworker she was pregnant?
Perhaps more importantly for the investigation, what had she told Xavier?
For Xavier to have a motive, it wasn't necessary for her to actually be pregnant. He just needed to think she was.
When detectives received DeAndrea's phone records, they combed through call logs and text messages looking for the answer.
The records showed that Xavier did reach out to DeAndrea in hours before the murder.
They found several phone calls from Xavier to DeAndrea.
DeAndrea did not answer any of his calls.
The detectives have no way of knowing exactly why Xavier was calling DeAndrea, but their text messages give them a pretty good idea.
There were text messages where detectives saw that the two of them, just a few days before her death, discussed a possible pregnancy.
Xavier texted DeAndrea and said, "Oh my God, stop telling me that stuff.
Don't tell me you're pregnant."
Xavier was not happy.
Could he have been desperate enough to kill?
Detectives investigating the murder of DeAndrea Vine have learned that the mother of 4 wasn't pregnant. But it appears DeAndrea's co-worker turned lover, Xavier McDowell, didn't know that.
Based on the text messages between Xavier and DeAndrea, he was panicking about the prospect of becoming a father.
Being 17 and being told that you're getting ready to be a father, that has to be scary, especially if you're not in a place financially to support a family.
However, tying Xavier directly to the murder proves more difficult.
The pregnancy gave him a motive, but none of the eyewitnesses that night were able to give detectives more than a vague description.
One neighbor saw a man bend down, pick up a backpack, and then run off.
DeAndrea's uncle had also seen a young man with a backpack talking to DeAndrea on the porch.
Neither of the witnesses got a good look at the young man, but detectives suspect there may be a way to identify him.
According to DeAndrea's neighbor, there had been an Uber driver in the neighborhood at the time of the murder.
Excuse me, did you order an Uber? No, I didn't.
The neighbor told police he'd been trying to locate the person who'd called the ride.
Now detectives are looking for the Uber driver to see if Xavier was a passenger.
It's important to put Xavier at the scene during the time of the murder.
Detectives contact the rideshare company and are eventually able to track down the driver who was in DeAndrea's neighborhood the night of the murder.
Hello?
He said that he was dispatched to that address around 1:30 that morning on Saturday.
But the rider wasn't there.
I didn't actually pick up anybody.
Why is that?
While I was waiting, I heard screaming. There's a woman screaming.
The driver says he never saw the woman, but he did see a man.
He said that he'd seen a man running away.
He ended up getting scared and left.
Did you see what this guy looked like?
I don't know, it was dark. I didn't really get a good look at him.
What about the ride request? Was there a name on it?
Yeah, usually, but this time it just said X.
The rider had only used an initial for his Uber profile, and the card linked to the account was a prepaid debit card, so it didn't have a name on it either.
However, the driver does have some useful information for detectives.
The destination for the requested ride was Raytown South High School.
Raytown High School is really close to Xavier's house.
Okay. Thank you.
But it still isn't enough to put Xavier at the crime scene.
So they went back to Walmart, that went through hours and hours of surveillance footage of inside the store.
The surveillance footage captures both DeAndrea and Xavier at work, just a few hours before the murder.
Just as Xavier told the police, they didn't really interact on the video.
They did wave at each other.
But that isn't all the video shows.
Hold it. Go back.
But you see something?
Yeah, right there.
Xavier was wearing Vans.
That was the same type of shoe as the bloody footprint left on the receipt detectives found at the scene.
It was very clear that it was the same brand of shoes.
It's the extra piece of evidence the detectives need.
They proceed with an arrest warrant to take Xavier in.
When detectives sit down with Xavier, he agrees to make a statement.
He started out by repeating what he said to police in his first interview, that he and DeAndrea were just together for casual sex.
I wasn't really in love, and I knew it wasn't supposed to go any further.
But there was a complication, or so he thought.
She told me that I had got her pregnant.
Oh, she did?
Xavier said that DeAndrea told him about the pregnancy a few days before the murder.
Did you have any reason to not believe her, or?
No, because I know what I did, and I know I should have wore that condom.
Xavier also admits that he wasn't happy about the idea of being a father.
Did you want her to not have the baby?
Yeah, at first, but she wouldn't agree to anything like that, so I can't force someone to want to get rid of the baby.
Right.
Not that detectives believe him.
They started pressing Xavier about the night of the murder, but he was still sticking to his original story.
Xavier reported that he came home from work at about 10 o'clock.
Okay, so you go straight there. And then you're there until you go to bed. You said midnight?
He denied going to her house that night.
It looks like you called her about 4 times, between 12 and 1 a.m. Did you do that?
I did call her.
Right. Okay. Did you go over to her house that night? That's just not true, man. Ask yourself this. Would I be asking you if you went over there that night? Would you be sitting here if we didn't know that you went over there that night? No. Okay.
He then confesses that he was there that night.
Xavier said he went to DeAndrea's house that night only looking to hook up.
So you're going over there for your booty call. What time is that?
That was around 2 in the morning.
But there was one problem.
There were so many people at the house that they couldn't have any privacy inside.
She didn't want to wake her kids up or anybody, so we had sex in the backyard.
Okay. What else happened?
Then she went into the front, sat down where there's like chairs, and then I went home.
Detectives know that's a lie.
We found the driver that you originally called and didn't get in the vehicle.
He saw you running off, man.
You heard the screams.
Sensing that they've backed Xavier into a corner, detectives keep up the pressure.
There's no way to get around this stuff, man. I'm telling you, there's just no way.
But that didn't stop Xavier from trying.
We didn't have sex in the back.
Okay.
We had sex in the car.
Which car?
The van.
He got in the passenger seat. DeAndrea got on top of him. They did have sexual intercourse.
But according to Xavier, while they were having sex, things took an unexpected turn.
She went crazy.
He said that she pulled out a knife and started to attack him.
She tried to kill me.
Xavier McDowell has admitted that it was him in the minivan with DeAndrea Vine on the night she died. But he says he's no murderer.
Did you plan to go over there and kill her?
Didn't. What were you planning to do? Just talk to her?
Sex.
He said that while they were having sex, she pulled out a knife.
I saw her, like, lift up a knife.
You saw her lift a knife up while she's on top of you?
Yeah.
He says what happened next is mostly a blur.
He was able to grab the knife, but it was only reflex.
My hand went like this, and that's how it kind of cut a little bit.
Right.
But she didn't really get to cut me.
DeAndrea wasn't so lucky.
Xavier says that he, in self-defense, stabbed her in the neck.
But that wasn't the end of it.
He said that she started to swing at him with her fist.
She was screaming at me.
So he continued to stab her.
How many times did you stab her then?
I don't remember.
He said that she then exited the van.
And then she's on like the ground.
But DeAndrea's ordeal was far from over.
He said he had to stab her even more because she had to die.
You were scared of getting in trouble.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So that's why you killed her.
Yeah.
He had to make sure she was dead. That was his logic.
Then, according to Xavier, he'd gone back to the van and grabbed his backpack before returning to where DeAndrea lay bleeding in the grass.
Why'd you come back?
Because I didn't know if she was dead or not.
He then stabbed her a few more times to make sure she was actually dead.
Finally, sure that DeAndrea was dead, or at least dying, Xavier made his escape.
I hopped over fences. I ran.
Then he called another Uber for a ride home.
Once he got home, he was able to take off all of his clothes, clean himself up, and then burn his clothes outside in the backyard.
Xavier's story fits at least some of the evidence at the crime scene, but not all.
The physical evidence and the nature of the injury to Ms. Vine's body were not consistent with his version of what happened.
You went over there to stab her. That's exactly what it looks like.
You're not defending yourself. That's BS. We know that.
We know that that's not true.
A realization that sinks in once detectives step out of the interview room.
Lord, please help me. I'm hurt. My life is over. It's over. It's over. My life is over.
Xavier may be a killer, but he was also a scared 17-year-old kid.
And he's going to jail.
Our man standing up.
But Xavier will never stand trial.
Xavier agrees to plead guilty to second-degree murder. He actually admitted that he was the one that had the knife that night.
He said, I didn't tell the truth in the beginning. DeAndrea did not attack me. I actually attacked her.
Still, parts of Xavier's story were true.
He did go over there under the pretext of a booty call.
I think what really happened was they probably did engage in sex in the minivan.
But when it was over, Xavier confronted DeAndrea about the baby she claimed to be carrying.
DeAndrea really thought she was pregnant, and Xavier was scared to step into parenthood.
Listen, DeAndrea, we have to talk about this baby thing.
I already told you I'm not arguing about this anymore.
He admitted that he was very angry about the pregnancy.
So angry that he became violent.
Xavier, stop!
He started stabbing her in the neck and throat area in the minivan. She was able to get out and try to escape.
But she didn't get far, and Xavier was right behind her.
No, Xavier, please, please!
Then suffered a large number of stab wounds, which would be consistent with somebody likely standing over top of her and stabbing her, because he wanted to make sure that she was actually, in fact, dead.
Although at his sentencing hearing, when the judge asks Xavier if he has anything to say for himself, he doesn't keep silent.
He did express remorse at the sentencing hearing. I do think he was remorseful. He was very young when this happened.
Xavier will be far older when he finishes paying for what he'd done.
The judge sentences Xavier to 23 years in prison.
But is the sentence good enough?
This is a mother that was taken from her children. So is this justice? Absolutely not.
What's worse, DeAndrea's kids lost their mother just 1 year after their father's tragic suicide.
Which means that much like their mother, DeAndrea's children will face a lifetime of challenges.
You just have to feel so sorry for these children. My heart goes out to them.
An audacious crime on Syracuse's east side sends investigators spiraling for answers.
Oh, get out. Oh, this is Shirley.
It was a very brutal, grisly crime scene.
The little kid just ran to me. He said his friend was dead.
It's a crime of anger, someone who is very upset with that person.
It definitely devastated me because now in my head it's like, why?
Before long, detectives are hot on the trail of a heartless killer.
There had been history of physical and psychological abuse.
He had both motive and proclivity to commit this crime, but he was nowhere to be found.
That gave us a really strong indication that he was on the run.
But her loved ones won't stop fighting until they see justice served.
He took a life that didn't belong to him, and he thought he was going to get away with it.
He has no remorse. He does not care.
This is a selfish and evil crime.
Any red flags of abuse or a bad relationship, just run. Just get out.
September 15th, 2021. Summer is coming to an end in Syracuse, a city regarded as the economic and educational hub of upstate New York.
It's known as the Central City in upstate New York. Approximately 150,000 people. We're most well known for Syracuse University, but the city itself has been one of the more violent places in upstate New York. Because of that, we have an entire unit that investigates homicides in the city.
And around 3:30 a.m., local investigators are called into action.
There's been a shooting in an apartment complex in East Syracuse.
521, it's going to be a confirmed shooting. Copy, confirmed shooting.
When police make their way inside the apartment, they realize they're dealing with multiple victims.
Oh, get out. Clear, two down. That's 521, we're going to need medical here.
They locate 2 victims, one male and one female. They were both on the kitchen floor.
Both victims are unconscious and lying in pools of blood.
There was large amounts of blood, and it was a very brutal, grisly crime scene.
There's casings right there. Okay. Right here. Right here. There's casings on the ground. There's casings right there.
Based on the amount of blood and shell casings, it's obvious to officers that both victims have been shot multiple times.
Even seasoned officers are taken aback by the brutality of this crime.
Oh, this is Shirley. Yeah. I gotta say, this is not what I was expecting when I said come to this call.
The victims are identified as 29-year-old Shabria Gainey and 33-year-old Julian Mansaw.
Julian was shot 10 times, while Shabria suffered 5 gunshot wounds.
To officers, this immediately reads overkill.
Regardless, paramedics must conduct their due diligence, checking for any possible signs of life.
Hey, let's do the pulse.
Sadly, there's nothing the paramedics can do for Julian.
They were too late to support and help him. Julian is already dead.
But to everyone's surprise, there is hope for Shabria.
You say you got a pulse on her? Yeah.
She has been shot in her arm, her back, and her chest, a total of 5 times. But as EMTs check for a pulse, they notice that she's still alive.
Girl. Somebody
However, if there's going to be a chance of saving Shabria's life, paramedics are in a race against time.
Let's bring the girl out this way, Brett. You're going to take her out in the hallway.
They waste no time loading Shabria into the ambulance.
As she's raced to the hospital, paramedics do everything they can to save her life.
The big question right now is, will it be enough?
For 29-year-old single mother Shabria Gainey, nothing was more important than family.
She's very outspoken. She's also very overprotective. She don't play about her family.
She was outgoing, friendly, very family-oriented. She hung out a lot with her sisters. We was very close.
We had a great relationship. We laughed, we danced, we sang, we cracked jokes about people in the family and stuff like that.
She's always laughing, she's always smiling. She called herself Looney Tunes for a reason, because she is goofy. Always making people laugh, kind of like, I would say like life of the party kind of thing. We always had a great time.
Shabria dreamt of letting her outgoing personality shine for the world to see.
She actually wanted to be a singer or a dancer. She loved to dance and sing, and she was very good at it. But she had 2 boys that she had to focus on. It was hard for her, but she loved being a mom, and she showed her kids lots of love.
Her worry was more making sure that she had a legacy for her boys. She wanted to make sure she could make any type of positive life she can with the boys.
She was a good mom. She loved those boys, and those were her life.
Like many other young women, Shabria also longed for a life partner. But finding the right man proved to be a challenge.
In 2021, she just got out of a rocky 3-year relationship.
It was mostly drama or them arguing about something.
She said, oh, this is not working. I'm going to move on.
And Shabria didn't waste any time jumping back into the dating pool.
She did have a few boyfriends. Some of them was very nice, but she didn't look at them like, oh, this is my life right here. She just kind of moved on.
However, when Shabria started spending more time with a childhood friend, 33-year-old Julian Mansaw, it seemed as though their platonic relationship could become something more.
They were friends since middle school. They've always been really close.
He's been around forever, always there for her. She can always depend on Julian.
I think her and Julian always had a little romance going on, but they never pursued it because they were in relationships. And they didn't want to mess up their friendship by a relationship.
But after years spent as just friends, the stars had finally aligned.
Julian was newly divorced and had 2 young kids. So he and Shabria really bonded over their love for their children.
It was nice to see her happy and smiling. He was good to her. He kept a smile on her face.
But now Shabria and Julian have been gunned down inside her apartment.
Let's bring the girl out this way, Brett. You're going to take her out in the hallway.
Julian didn't make it, but Shabria still had a pulse, so she was rushed to the hospital.
Meanwhile, officers outside are speaking with the neighbor who made the 911 call, and he's accompanied by a young boy.
The little kid just ran to me.
Yeah. What he said?
He said his spirit is dead.
It seems Shabria's 6-year-old son was the one who found her and Julian.
Did he also witness what happened?
It is difficult to see in a small child trying to process those very, very difficult traumas.
After ending a tumultuous 3-year relationship, single mother Shabria Gainey had recently gotten another chance at love with an old friend named Julian Mansaw.
He was very nice and good to Shabria.
Julian was the gentlest person I knew. They were always friends.
He'd been around forever.
But on September 15th, 2021, Julian is dead, and Shabria's life is in jeopardy after her young son found them shot inside Shabria's East Syracuse apartment.
He just ran, the little kid just ran to me.
Yeah. What he said?
He said his kid was dead.
Shabria's neighbor tells detectives that around 3 a.m., he'd just stepped outside when Shabria's little boy ran up to him.
You were sitting outside, he just basically found you first?
He was crying.
The caller stated that he did not step foot inside, but instead called 911 and waited with the young boy.
The officers decide to take Shabria's young son aside to see if there's anything else he can tell them about what he witnessed.
Why don't you come with me, little man? You want to have a seat in here for me, buddy?
That was a very difficult interview for him to get through, especially. He is 6 years old. It's difficult to see that in a small child, trying to process those, very, very difficult traumas.
He said he heard shots, and he said he stayed in his room because he was scared. And when shots stopped, he came out, and he said they was all in a lot of blood. And so he ran out and tried to get help.
Fortunately, Shabria's other son was spared the nightmare his little brother endured.
That night, the father of the oldest one took him, and she had the little one.
As police continue questioning Shabria's young son, they realize he won't be able to give them much more information.
Who else was in the apartment besides your mommy? Have you seen that man who was in there before? No.
He doesn't know his date of birth. He just knows his first.
Does he know his first and last name?
Just his first name.
He does know that he's got family living nearby, but he doesn't know where they are or how to reach them.
He says he's got a grandma, but yeah, doesn't know where, doesn't know his number.
However, as the sun begins to rise over Syracuse, the rest of Shabria's family receives word that something terrible has happened.
My uncle's girlfriend called me and told me that she had been listening to the police scanner, and it said gang on the east side of Syracuse.
I woke up to 5 missed phone calls and a message saying that Shabria could be in trouble and that we needed to head up to her apartment as soon as possible.
I got the call. It said, get to Shabria's house ASAP. Something happened.
Shabria's family began to show up on the scene and demand answers from police.
My Aunt Melissa was out there. We all were out there. Shabria's kid was in the car with this CPS worker.
We got a call that our family member is in trouble. We need to know what's going on, at least something.
But with an open investigation in process, getting any answers from the officers is easier said than done.
Ma'am, I have nothing for you.
I seen a lot of police and it was taped off. We didn't know who was hurt in the house or how bad it was or anything, and they weren't really telling us much. So it was terrible. We were very much panicked.
I just got the call from the neighbor. That's the reason why I knew.
It's an ongoing investigation. I can't say anything.
Really?
Really.
It's very common in homicides, especially, to have family members have very big reactions. So I don't begrudge anybody that has a big reaction to that. You want to be as helpful as you can, but it's difficult to toe that line between telling the family everything and protecting the integrity of the case.
Obviously, they got a crime scene to focus on, but we're trying to figure out where my sister is.
They took a long time to actually tell us anything. We stood outside for an hour waiting to hear something.
Finally, there's some news.
And they said 2 people was hurt and Shabria was at the hospital.
Shabria's family rushes to her side, but upon arriving at the hospital, they learn it's too late.
Despite doctors' best efforts, they were not able to bring Shabria back from the brink.
My sister is dead.
In Syracuse, New York, 29-year-old shooting victim Shabria Gainey has just passed away at the hospital from her injuries.
My sister is dead. She didn't make it. I'm not really one to be emotional, whatever, when it comes to certain things, but that broke me. Yeah, that broke me.
She was still fighting, like the fighter she was. I'm shocked that she passed. She was a big fighter.
As Shabria's family tries to come to terms with the tragic news, investigators continue searching the crime scene for clues as to who did this.
There's an open window, and investigators surmise that's how the killer was able to enter the apartment.
Inside the house were multiple .40 caliber casings.
The police recovered at least a dozen spent casings from the kitchen floor, and underneath the fridge,
There are also multiple projectiles embedded into a nearby couch.
I think any police officer is going to look at that scene and see that it's pretty clear that it's a crime of anger, someone who is very upset with that person.
In their search for answers, the investigators circle back around to Shabria's devastated family.
Learning that terrible piece of news, it's a very difficult thing to process. It's a very difficult thing to understand that their family member's no longer here and they're not coming back.
How is her little boy doing?
He's okay. We kind of explained it to him too, that she's still with you. She's in heaven now, but she's always going to be with you. And he did very good. I think for a 6-year-old, better than I did.
Detectives confirmed to the family that there was a second victim, Julian Mansaw.
It definitely devastated me because now in my head it's like, why? Because Julian was the gentlest person I knew.
Do you have any idea who may have done this?
The family has an immediate answer.
At this point, when I realized it was Julian, we knew what happened, we knew who did it. There was no doubt at all.
It had to be Shabria's ex, Bruce.
The family explains that Shabria had broken up with 39-year-old Bruce Miles about a month ago in early August.
Let's be real, I never liked him. I just never seen anything positive with him.
The family states that Bruce is violent, he's abusive, she's been trying to separate from him, but he's refusing to let her go.
There had been, a history between Bruce and Shabria of physical and psychological abuse.
There was just something not right about him. He would threaten her or tell her he's gonna do this or do that, but she wasn't afraid.
I'm tired of you. I'm leaving you. I am done.
She told me she was leaving him. She made her decision and she went and followed through with it.
According to the family, though, Bruce refused to leave quietly.
Unfortunately, Bruce did not take that very well, and he became enraged and hit her.
Bruce, during that time, according to what Shabria said, had choked her, punched her, and kicked her, and thrown her down. Actually, she finally called the police. She wanted him arrested.
I'm gonna call the cops.
Go for it.
But when police finally arrived, Bruce was gone.
They were unable to apprehend him.
He still had an outstanding warrant at the time Shabria was killed.
Based on the recent breakup and the history of abuse, they feel he had both motive and proclivity to commit this crime.
He's the only one who could have done it.
Still, without any hard evidence linking Bruce to the murders, detectives know they need to conduct a full investigation before jumping to conclusions.
We knew it was Bruce that did it. We told the police it was Bruce, but they said, oh, we can't just go and arrest Bruce without knowing that it's Bruce.
We're going to be investigating this further, okay?
It's a very recurring theme in homicide investigations that we targeted one individual and zeroed in on him, and we put blinders on and didn't look at anybody else.
We'll be in touch.
We do everything we can to be as objective as possible and focus on the actual evidence as opposed to, having a theory and then making our pieces fit after that.
Back at the station, detectives begin ruling out any other possible suspects.
We also looked into potential persons of interest in Julian's life, and we didn't see anything in Julian's life that would indicate to us that Julian had any enemies.
For any sign of Bruce's white sedan, detectives combed through video footage collected from surveillance cameras near the crime scene.
There was a lot of video in this case from cameras that are set up throughout certain areas of the city that SPD owns and operates, from residential cameras and business cameras.
A large part of what we do is we expand our investigation out and we track persons of interest or vehicles coming to or going from the scene before and after the crime.
When detectives start scouring through the footage, it doesn't take them long to find something.
Around 2:45 in the morning, we see a car leave from the area of Shabria's apartment. The vehicle was a white sedan.
It's the same type of car that Bruce Miles drives.
Syracuse detectives investigating the double homicide of 29-year-old Shabria Gainey and 33-year-old Julian Mansaw believe Shabria's ex, Bruce Miles, is behind the sordid crime. And they've just located surveillance footage that bolsters their theory.
Around 2:45 in the morning, we see a car leave from the area of Shabria's apartment. The vehicle was a white sedan.
It's the same type of car that Bruce Miles drives.
Using the footage obtained from other cameras across the city, detectives begin tracking the white car and recreate the path it took after leaving Shabria's apartment.
About half a mile from the crime scene, the car stopped at a local convenience store, and the driver exited the vehicle and walked inside.
The video wasn't the greatest. It was nighttime, so it's kind of hard. You can't really make out a face.
After leaving the convenience store, the driver heads south, eventually pulling over along the banks of Onondaga Creek, a shallow waterway running through the city.
Detectives now believe the murder weapon was disposed of in that creek.
Next, detectives are able to track the path from Onondaga Creek to the final destination,
which happens to be Bruce Miles' residence in South Syracuse.
The footage prompts detectives to leap into action, hoping the current hasn't carried away whatever Bruce threw into the water.
We responded down there, and it was thankfully a low tide at the time.
At first, there's not much to see.
There were a couple plastic bags from what I remember.
But further investigation reveals a treasure trove of evidence.
Sitting on top of the handle of that bag was a live .40 caliber round, and there was just a ton of ballistic evidence and gun evidence in this area.
We found multiple magazines and multiple live .40 caliber rounds of ammunition. The same caliber, kind, and color, actually, that was found where Shabria and Julian were found.
Hoping to find a literal smoking gun, detectives call in the dive team.
And they hit the jackpot.
The dive team came and found an actual firearm inside the creek, right in the same path of where we found these other particular items.
It was a .40 caliber Smith & Wesson.
Back at the station, detectives run the gun's serial number through their system.
They find out that it has been stolen from Dayton, Ohio, out of the owner's vehicle.
Unfortunately, that doesn't help link the gun to Bruce Miles.
However, the evidence is compelling enough for detectives to get a warrant to search the home Bruce shares with his mother. The white sedan is there, but Bruce is not.
When they executed the warrant, Bruce was nowhere to be found.
Inside the home, they don't uncover any evidence that directly links Bruce to the crime.
His mother stated that there was no way Bruce could have committed the murders, as he was home from 1 a.m. to 7 a.m., which is the time frame when the murders occurred.
His mom told us that he was sleeping on the couch downstairs.
But near the front door, something catches their eye.
When we're talking to the mother, we find large suitcases in her front hallway.
There were multiple suitcases as if someone was packing for a trip.
To detectives, the discovery immediately sets off alarm bells.
That gave us a really strong indication that he was on the run.
Syracuse detectives have zeroed in on 39-year-old Bruce Miles as the prime suspect in the murders of his ex-girlfriend, Shabria Gainey, and her new boyfriend, Julian Mansaw. And after unearthing some damning evidence, police now believe Bruce is trying to evade them.
There were multiple suitcases as if someone was packing for a trip.
That gave us a really strong indication that he was on the run.
Ma'am, can we speak to you for a moment?
And even though Bruce's mother claims he was home with her all night between 1 a.m. and 7 a.m., investigators aren't buying it.
He was here last night.
We have footage that proves otherwise.
We were able to definitively say with camera footage that that's not what happened.
They have his car in surveillance, leaving Shabria's apartment complex around 3 a.m.
The detectives tell Bruce's mother about how they tracked his movements all the way to Onondaga Creek, where they found the gun that killed Shabria and Julian.
The creek was just a couple blocks from Bruce Miles' home. This is a mountain of evidence against Mr. Miles.
Where is he?
I don't know.
You sure about that?
That's when Bruce's mother starts to cave.
Okay.
She admits she gave him a ride to the bus station earlier that morning around 3:30 a.m.
However, she was unsure where he was going.
Why are these suitcases still here?
They wouldn't let him take them all.
Bruce tried to bring those suitcases with him to the transport center, but he was unable to because they only let him bring a certain number of luggage items.
Armed with this new information, detectives head to the bus station, hoping to figure out where Bruce went.
We were able to find that he had purchased a ticket at 3:30 in the morning for a bus from Syracuse to Columbus, Ohio, which was supposed to arrive at 2:10 p.m. This is right around noon that we learned this information.
With only a couple of hours before Bruce is due to arrive in Columbus, detectives quickly reach out to their counterparts in Ohio.
We were able to contact their warrant squad in Columbus, and they were gracious enough to help us take him into custody.
Officers in Ohio arrive in the nick of time, just as the bus is pulling in.
They reacted in record time, and the fact that they were able to get to the Regional Transportation Center while the perpetrator was still on the bus was incredible.
Bruce Miles. Yeah, you under arrest.
As soon as Bruce exits the bus, they're able to apprehend him and take him into custody.
He did not resist arrest. He was taken into custody without incident.
I felt like it was stupid to run. There was a lot of drama.
We were so happy that they caught him finally. That's what everybody was hoping for, because we thought he got away.
The detectives back in Syracuse are eager to speak with Bruce.
Once we learned he was in custody, we drove directly to Columbus, Ohio to attempt to interview him, and he declined our efforts to have a conversation with him.
He was subsequently extradited back to New York.
Bruce is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder.
First-degree murder is a rare charge in New York State, reserved for only the most heinous and serious crimes.
Murder in the first degree, you need aggravating factors. And in this particular case, the aggravating factor was that 2 people lost their lives at the same time.
But without a confession, prosecutors will have to work overtime to craft their theory of what really happened on the night of September 15th.
When he actually got into the apartment, then just rage came out.
With the help of police in Columbus, Ohio, Syracuse detectives now have Bruce Miles, their top suspect in the murders of Shabria Gainey and Julian Mansaw, in custody.
I was happy that they got him, But I was still sad because he took my best friend away.
We formally charged him with murder in the first degree because he had killed 2 people.
Bruce is held without bail until the start of the murder trial in March of 2023.
At trial, prosecutors opened their case by contending that Bruce's motive couldn't be clearer. It was jealousy.
We really kind of focused on a theme and theory of jealousy. Mr. Miles was jealous that Shabria was with Julian. And because it's a circumstantial case, I really wanted the jury to see that there's nobody else who could have committed this crime. He had the motive to do it. He had the means to do it. He was in the area.
When Shabria broke up with Bruce in August 2021, he was determined to do everything to win her back.
The prosecution argues that was exactly Bruce's plan in the early morning hours of September 15th.
We found that he had made 9 phone calls to Shabria from 1 a.m. to 1:38 a.m.
The majority of them are hang-ups because they're so short. And there were a couple that were a little bit longer, so we believe that there was some sort of conversation where she's already told him, I don't want you to come over, I don't want you to call me anymore.
Hello, Shabria.
Bruce, stop calling me. Leave me alone.
According to the prosecution, after those calls, Bruce headed over to Shabria's apartment.
Mr. Miles probably had an indication that Shabria was with another man. It was my theory that he's already made up his mind as to what he's going to do.
We had a pretty good indication that the motive was, if I can't have her, no one can.
The investigators believe Bruce was able to sneak into the apartment through a window that was unlocked.
However, prosecutors say that it's less clear whether Bruce's initial intention was to kill Shabria and Julian or just to confront them.
Who is this?
I think that wasn't necessarily a crime of passion, but I believe that when he actually got into the apartment, then just rage came out.
Shut up!
The prosecution argues that Bruce lost it because what he wanted did not happen. He was super angry to find Shabria with another man.
Man, just calm down.
Calm down. Calm down.
He fired off more than a dozen rounds at a defenseless Julian and Shabria, hitting them each multiple times and killing them both.
His emotional regulation was non-existent, and he was really just seeing red and seeing rage, and nothing was going to stand in his way of ending their lives.
After the shooting, he fled the scene, tossing the gun in Onondaga Creek, before heading home and plotting his escape to Ohio.
In an act of bravery, Shabria's own son, now 8 years old, takes the stand to testify about the horrors he witnessed that night.
They put him on the stand, and I think he did a great job.
He got up there like a big boy and said what he needed to say. He told what happened to his mom the best he could have. I was very proud of him that he was strong enough to get up there. And he definitely got that from his mother.
On the stand, he discusses being woken up in the middle of the night to the sound of gunshots and finding his mother and another man bleeding out on the floor.
His testimony was absolutely impactful. He was extremely brave in doing it, and it was very impactful because that bravery came out.
Everybody in the courtroom was crying. That was very, sad to put a little kid like that on the stand. But he knew the most.
The fact that he had to see it, the fact that he had to go find somebody to help him call the police, he is so strong and brave.
But when it's the defense's turn, they argue that none of the evidence is enough to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Bruce is guilty of murder.
His defense's strategy really was that Mr. Miles was at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Bruce's defense also states that there's a reasonable explanation for him to have been in the apartment complex, as he has a friend that lives in the area as well, and they had plans to spend time together that night.
They said that he just sat and waited for, an hour or so, which would account for the time that he was actually there.
Will the effort to create a reasonable doubt work? After 2 days of deliberation, the jury returns with its verdict.
The jury comes back with a guilty verdict for first-degree murder, tampering with evidence, and criminal possession of a weapon.
The jury was able to make a correct determination that it was Bruce Miles.
When they said guilty, it really was just a big relief because I could hear Shabria's family and Julian's family in the back start to cry, and they were obviously very emotional.
I was happy that it came back guilty.
That was a very good day, but I was very nervous. We sat there and waited and waited and waited and waited, and I just wanted to celebrate because if this is the type of justice that we have to get, then so be it.
I knew he was going down. I was happy about that. It's the best day of my life, I felt like.
At Bruce's sentencing hearing, Shabria's family has some choice words for him.
They discuss how difficult it has been for Shabria and Julian's children to cope with the loss of their parents, especially Shabria's son, who now suffers from PTSD and night terrors.
The fact that he had to see it, the fact that he had to go find somebody to help him, the fact that he's involved, period, no, I'm not okay with it.
But even faced with all the grief he's caused, Bruce refuses to admit his guilt.
He told the court, I'm not going to apologize or say I'm sorry because I have nothing to be sorry about. He was very nonchalant in the courtroom. He thought he was going to get away with it.
He has no remorse. He does not care. And he's really trying to save himself.
But the judge is having none of it.
The judge was like, you don't have any remorse? And told him he's very disappointed in him when we know that you've done this and you still have no remorse.
He was sentenced to the potential of 41 1/3 to life to 44 years to life.
Most likely, Bruce will never see life outside of prison again.
However, for those left behind, it still doesn't feel like enough.
I was glad that he was getting such a high number, and obviously he has life on the back end of it. But in my opinion, I thought he deserved life without parole.
I think he should do life. He took away a life. He took a life that didn't belong to him.
I was happy, but at the same time, like I said, it doesn't bring her back. It doesn't bring Julian back either.
Mr. Miles is where he belongs. He took away somebody's sister, somebody's daughter, somebody's mother. He took away a son, a brother, a father. And again, for just really no good reason.
Whenever somebody loses their life, there's always more than one victim, especially in this case. Anybody who loved Julian or anybody who loved Shabria, they're also victims, and especially Shabria's son.
He's strong, he's in counseling. He didn't really talk too much before, and now he opens up and talks.
He's doing very good. Better than I thought he would. He's doing great.
I have this huge picture in my room of Shabria, the beautifulest picture ever. And when I feel down or whatever, I may talk to that picture, let her know how much I miss her. And I wish she was here. I would give her a big old hug and a kiss and tell her I love her so much.
There's so much she's missing that she should be here for. We all miss her down here. Yeah, she's missed a lot. It has devastated us all in some form and fashion.
And the family has sage advice for other women who find themselves in a similar predicament.
Any red flags of abuse or a bad relationship, just run. We have other women in our family. I try to tell them, learn from what happened to Shabria. Just get out.